Hey, my name is Thomas, and today let's shoot the one and only, the legendary Olympus PEN-F. I've got it here. Oh, I said legendary. Wait. Ah, here we've got it. This is 1966, and I've got this 2016. 50 years of difference, so let's find out what has changed. The Olympus PEN story started in 1959 with some point-and-shoot cameras, and they were an instant hit because they were so small and so easy and also so elegant, and they sold more than 1 million of these. And then Olympus decided to go one step further, turn it into a nice compact system camera that was elegant, easy to use again, but also super high quality, and they came up with the Olympus PEN-F in 1963. This model, this is called the PEN-FT. This is the version with a light meter, and that was introduced in 1966. All Olympus PEN cameras have this one peculiar characteristic, that they use half frames. That means you don't take a 24 by 36 frame, but instead you take like a half frame, which is 24 by 18. So a standard roll of film yields 72 shots, and the standard orientation is vertical, as you can see from the viewfinder. So if you hold the camera like this, you're actually shooting a portrait shot. So let's fast forward to 2016. A lot has changed. We went from analog to digital, but Olympus decided to continue the brand Olympus PEN. This is the very last incarnation, as we know. Now we've got 2021. We don't know if this line will ever see a successor. The fun fact is, it looks retro, but it isn't retro in operation. It's got all the, unmarked twin command dials and PASM dial and all the stuff that you expect from just a regular modern digital camera. One nice thing about this one is you can just hide the screen. So now it comes out. If you want to use it, it's like this. If you want to pretend you're a super hipster, do it like this. Now I'm going to try to mimic the same shot with the analog PEN-F, but what I noticed is the standard lens of this is a 25mm f1.8 for micro four thirds. The analog camera has a 38 f1.8, but actually it's really a tighter frame, so maybe I have to step back a little bit to get the same shot. This camera has a 20 megapixel micro four thirds sensor, and what's a bit strange is it doesn't have face detection autofocus. For a 2016 release, that was already a bit outdated. That means while single autofocus is snappy and responsive, just forget about using continuous autofocus. The camera basically doesn't have that feature. Compared to the Olympus EM1 series, for example, there's a huge difference. Speaking of resolution, this is a half frame, and of course you can't compare digital to analog. Today this camera is at an unfair advantage because I'm shooting this actually with the ADOX CMS20 super fine-grained black and white film, and when you do a decent scan you get easily something that's equivalent to like 40 or 50 megapixels out of the negative scans. The downside is the ISO of 20, which means in this weather I can shoot it handheld, but not so in any other condition. And normally I would recommend you to shoot the half-frame cameras with a super fine-grained ISO 100 films like Ilford Delta 100 or Kodak T-Max. If you want to go color, then maybe Kodak Ektar, and if you like color slides, then yeah, Fuji Velvia or something like that. But really you should stay at ISO 100. If you go to a higher ISO film, the results will be very grainy. As you see, this camera has a very simple design, and Maitani, the genius at Olympus, the designer, wanted it to look and feel a bit like a Leica M. And to do this, you see the mirror sits vertical. You also can sort of see the portrait orientation when you hold the camera like this. And it flips to the side, and then there is an ingenious system of mirrors to project the view here into the viewfinder. And also the light meter sits behind one of the mirrors, so that's already one of the small disadvantages of this system. The view through the viewfinder is a little bit dim at times. The light meter itself, it's activated by just letting light pass onto the lens. So you always need to carry a lens cap. The shutter speed dial is here, and now the light meter is connected to the shutter speed dial, but it's not connected to the aperture dial. So that's also a bit peculiar. If you want to make use of the light meter, you can actually turn around the scale. And 0 means open aperture, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And inside the viewfinder, the meter needle points to one of these numbers, so you just know how to set your aperture. So this is not as convenient as a fully automatic connection between aperture and shutter time and the light meter, but this was 1966, and you saw that this camera just came 1 or 2 years too early. Apart from that, it's super straightforward. Here goes the battery, and yeah, normal winding, and this nicely designed charger button, and of course a self timer. Here we go. What's really nice about the new Olympus Pen is the finish of the camera body. This feels really, really well made. Especially this dial here, if you operate it, it's a piece of beauty. The problem is I never used this dial. Actually, I owned this camera and I used it for a year, but I never used this dial because these are the Olympus color filters and the art filters, etc. I know many of you guys love them. I personally find them a little bit Instagram-like, and if I put it on mono, it shoots black and white JPEG. I'm the guy who rather converts RAW to black and white, but okay, a matter of taste. These dials are very standard. Also, they have a nice feel to them. Twin command dials. You see retro touch, which is very nice. You have a threaded shutter release for your cable release. This is also very nice and feels very good. This has the beautiful push button, you know, to lock it. This is the on-off dial that was debated a bit when the camera came out. It's maybe a bit counterintuitive, but it's made to look like the film rewind lever of a Leica M3. Let's not forget the new Olympus PEN-F features in-body stabilization, as do almost all Olympus cameras. It's such a useful feature. I'm looking at you, Fuji. As you see, the new camera has the round eye cup, which I think is sort of a retro design approach, but the original one has a squared off eye cup. Yeah, those were the 1960s. You even see the leatherette is sort of squared pattern, and the 60s squares were all the craze and the hype, and not circles anymore. So not sure if the guys who did the new PEN-F knew about the real design cues of the 1960s. The user interface is purely Olympus. So if you know your way around in an Olympus menu, you will love it. It can also be a bit confusing at times. And we've got the tiny Micro Four Thirds sensor in here. I still find it confusing that this way is portrait and this way is landscape, but here we go. Now let's compare the bokeh. I shot the 25 f1.8 at open aperture, and I will do the same with the 38 on the old pen to compare. I had a lot of fun shooting both cameras. I still love the Olympus PEN-F. I remember when I bought it, how much I appreciated its design and its compactness, and it's sort of a playful camera. And but actually I then went to Fuji, which is another story that you can also see in my videos. And this one I also still love to use, even though it's a bit awkward in some details because it's showing its age. I really think this camera came on the market maybe 2 or 3 years too early to fully implement the built-in metering and all this stuff. They could do it much better in 1 or 2 years after this came out. I hope you liked this video. If you did so, please leave a like. Also, if you've got any questions or comments, write in the comment section below. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit the small bell button. Yeah, now I'm remembering to say that as well. So you got a notification when my next video comes out. So I hope to see you soon. Bye.